It's your boy Bryant.
And Justine.
And
we're the Cartagenas. You're nowhere near starting to change your life as long as you stay in a victim mentality, as long as you put your focus on the outside exterior instead of within.
You're one decision away from completely changing the entire trajectory of your life and stop being a passenger of your circumstances and start being a driver, a conscious creator of your own life.
Hey guys, welcome to our first episode with Create with the Cartagenas, where we talk about all things creation.
It's your boy Bryant.
And Justine.
And we're the Cartagenas. So guys, today's first episode is creating a life by design. How to be conscious creators, how to create intentionally, how to design a life of your dreams, the way that we believe we start designing ours. So I'm gonna get right deep into it right away with the question of the century, right? The name create. What does creation mean to you? What does the word create mean?
To me, create means design.
Elaborate a little bit.
Designing your life. I feel like we're always creating, we're always designing our life, whether we're aware of it or not.
So I agree. When you bring up the term aware of it or not, what do you mean? I'm not aware, I'm creating something. I know that's what people are thinking. So what does it mean to create unaware?
I feel like we're always creating based on the belief systems that we have. And most of those belief systems come from childhood, maybe, and we're not aware of it. So maybe we're operating from a place, let's say, of lack of love, of self-worth, but we're not aware of that, yet we're creating from that space.
I love that. I love that you brought up the term belief systems. So I believe that all human behavior is rooted on our beliefs, right? Your beliefs lead to your thoughts essentially lead to your decisions lead to your actions, and then your actions get you to create the life, whether that's intentionally or not. You get the result that you believed in. So I want to dive deeper into that. You know, when we talk about unconscious creation or not being aware of what we're creating, what has that looked like in your life personally?
So for me personally, I can say that when I was unconsciously creating, my life felt like a turmoil. I was in a very toxic relationship for 8 years. I was attracting very toxic friends. And now that I understand, it came from a place of I didn't love myself. It was a lack of self-worth. So I was looking for the exterior. I was looking for my friendships, my intimate relationships to feed me that emptiness that I felt inside. But it came from a belief system that I had that I wasn't aware of, yet I was creating all this chaos in my life because of that.
When you mentioned you had so much turmoil in your life, a lot of people are thinking, Justine, a lot of things are happening to me. Things are, I'm not creating this by my design. What do you mean I'm creating this unconscious? So what exactly do you believe you were doing that was leading you to creating this life of turmoil or problems in your current situation?
At the time, I didn't believe that I was doing anything because I wasn't aware. So I feel like I was more in a victim mentality. Like, hey, I'm this good person. I'm this loving person. I'm doing the best that I can around the people that I thought I loved and I thought that loved me. But I was coming from a place where I was really broken inside. So instead of focusing on me and changing the interior, I was so focused on the exterior. So I was trying to change my relationship. I was trying to change my friendships. Like, hey, I do this for you. Why can't you be there for me? Or my personal relationship. Hey, I'm doing this to help you. Like, I'm trying to be here for our family. I'm trying to help you grow. Like, why can't you be there for me? Like, I was always feeling like I was in the back burner of people's lives. But I feel now that I have awareness, it came from a place of self-worth. I didn't have that self-worth in myself. I had that lack of love. So I was constantly basically asking, hey, love me. Like, just love me. And obviously, because I didn't love myself, I love you too. But obviously, because I didn't love myself, I didn't get that love back because I was seeking from the outside instead of seeking within.
So when And you hit the nail on the head. So our external world is essentially just a reflection of our internal life, of our internal beliefs about ourselves, about the world, about others. And so when whatever you're seeking or whatever is showcasing out onto the world, guys, it's just a reflection of who you are, and maybe not on a conscious level, because we just talked about being unaware of it. So sometimes we're unconsciously in the back of our head have these deep rooted traumas that stop us from believing in the things that we need to believe in order to get the results that we want to get. And so what you do is you seek external validation, right? You're looking to change you're waiting for something to happen in the exterior to feel that interior happiness, to feel that joy, to feel that love. When in reality, what we've learned to understand is that love is always inside. The happiness is always up to you. You're the bishop of your own heart. I heard that the other week, and that really resonated because you choose the feelings that you want to feel. Yes. You choose to show up for yourself the way you want to show up. It's not really about what's going on in the exterior world. There's people in your same circumstances that find a way to put up that smile. And so when you started, when did you become conscious of this? When did you start making kind of that shift? Like, hey, it's really up to me to figure this out. It's not, I can't change somebody to feel that happiness. It's up to me to feel that happiness within. When did that change for you?
For me, I felt like I had hit such a rock bottom. Like I was so exhausted I felt like I was on fight or flight, just fighting everybody. Just, okay, can you love me this way? And can you be a friend to me this way? And it was driving me insane, where I remember crying in my car one day, literally in the middle of the day, I bursted out crying. And I said, like, I'm tired. I'm done. I'm done waiting for these people to change so that I can feel something that I'm seeking for. Like, I want to take control of my life. And for me, that started with working out. I was like, okay, obviously my life had led me down a path where I was eating my life away and I was going out partying Sunday through Sunday to escape my reality.
Yeah, we wouldn't have been together at that time.
Yeah, definitely not. So I'm like, hey, this is not serving me, clearly, because insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. And I was doing the same thing over and over again, trying to force different results. So I said, I'm no longer going to do this. I'm going to start working on me. And for me, what made me feel good, what made me feel more confident in that moment was going to the gym. So I stopped partying because I had to wake up early to go to the gym because I had a daughter. So I started working out. I started partying less. I started seeing those friends gradually less. I was introduced to personal development. So I started working on my mind. I started asking myself questions that I normally wasn't asking myself because I was so on autopilot.
What kind of questions?
Like, why is my life the way that it is? Why am I seeking for love in all the wrong places? Like, why do I feel so alone? Like, why do I feel like I'm not worthy? I'm over here. Like, I had my daughter at 19. I'm this powerful mom. I've been able to do so much for myself while also helping the daughter of my father. Like, I'm just this loving being. Like, I'm this loving friend. Like, if anything, one thing that the group of friends couldn't say about me wasn't that I wasn't loyal. Like, they would literally say, wow, Justine is loyal. Like, she asks no questions. You tell me to do something, I do it. I'm always there, literally always there whenever you need it. So I'm like, okay, I'm obviously this person deep down inside, but my surroundings are bringing out this version of me that I know is not me. So why am I letting this happen?
And let's get deep, guys. What kind of answers did you get?
That it was myself. It was all me. It was all me. When you're in a victim mentality, you're not going to be able to change your life the way that you're looking and seeking for that change. So I found the answers that everything was me. It was all me. I was allowing this relationship to come and disrespect me and make me feel the way that I internally was looking to feel, right? Because I feel like looking back from childhood, my parents never really set that example of a loving relationship. If anything, they set the example of a toxic one. And that's where I felt like, okay, I needed to feel love in that way, I guess, in that toxic environment. So I created that belief system, right, from childhood, I guess. So when I started asking myself those questions, I started relating like, hey, well, I never really had an example of a healthy relationship. I never, and that stems down also to friendships. So, but it's been me. I'm the problem, not nobody else.
You the problem.
I'm the problem.
No, so I can absolutely relate. So I realized that there comes a time when you have to start taking accountability in order to be a conscious creator, in order to live the life on your terms, not be a passenger of your circumstances. And so for a long time, I was very similar. Like, hey, I'm figuring things out. My father was murdered when I was young, so it's like, hey, this is the best that I could do, and with the circumstances that I was given. My mom is an immigrant. I'm the head of the household. If I had a dad, if I had a support system, if I wasn't from the hood, things would be a little bit better for me. I would be able to do a little bit more. And I realized that I was playing small because of my personal fear of success. I felt like getting successful would lead me to my dad's path in some shape or form. And so that was, again, a lot of us have these deep-rooted traumas that we're not conscious of. They're not bringing out. So you might want the great relationship. You might want the great career. You might want to make all the money, get the job, lose the weight. But what are you really believing about yourself internally that's stopping you, or that's creating the life otherwise, right? And so once you started making those realizations about yourself, what started to shift?
Everything. So I moved out and left my toxic relationship. I started shying away from those friends gradually. Like, it wasn't like anything like F you, I'm out,
Yeah.
It was just I started working on myself. So I was working on different things, so I didn't have the same interest. So I was waking up at 4 a.m. to go to the gym, so I didn't have the interest to hang out till 3 a.m. and go party and go drink. I stopped drinking. I stopped smoking hookah. I stopped responding the way that I used to respond, which it was me. I was in a very toxic environment. So I look back now, and a lot of things that triggered me before because of those belief systems, I would react completely differently now. I met my best friend, which I had ended a relationship with my ex-best friend of over 10 years. And I made space for my new best friend, which she fed all the things that I always felt were wrong in my previous friendship.
I'm gonna stop you real quick because you said something very important. You ended a relationship with your ex-best friend, right, for 10 years. And so a lot of times when we start doing that inner work and start being conscious and start bringing and saying, hey, I'm the one that has to kind of take control of the situation to change, forget about your external circumstances, but so that I can feel happy within myself. We notice it's happened in my life, certainly, and I've seen it around with all the people that I work with. I noticed that sometimes things start falling apart, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're doing the work, if you're listening to us and it's like, hey, Brian, I want to start creating consciously. I want to start doing the things that I want to do and live the life that I want to live. It's okay if at first it feels a little bit uncomfortable, mm-hmm. because, at the end of the day, we're habitual beings. So when you start getting doing things a little bit differently, and then you need to do things differently in order to get a different result, mm-hmm. You start taking back your energy.
Yeah.
You have fractured energy all over you. You cannot
space.
You can't build you can't have a new relationship. You can't build a relationship with your best friend if you're still focusing on the things that are not working out in your previous relationship. Yeah. You agree? You might lose your job, but you can never step into that new business, that new career, that new passion or that new mission of yours if you're still holding on to the career or the job that you currently have. Yeah. And so sometimes we're gonna feel like things are getting out of whack, so to speak. Yeah. Like you're hitting that rock bottom, or that you're losing friendships, and that's just making space and bringing back your energy, because life is all about energy. And so you can start using that energy to create consciously, so that you can put it into the place that you need to put it into. So what were some of those things that you started? Okay, you lost your best friend. You mentioned making decisions about your intimate relationship. So what did you start doing instead? Where did you start placing that energy so that the people that are hearing can start, when they go through that, what grounds them, what keeps them going to, again, create that life? Because it's not always going to be sunshine and rainbows. So
for me, so I left that relationship with my best friend. I left my personal relationship. I started making space for people around this new business and network marketing that I had, which had introduced me to the personal development. So I'm not saying that they had it all figured out, but they wanted more, out of the party lifestyle, hookah, all of that I was used to. Like, these people were wanting more out of life. They were working on their minds. They were working on themselves. physically and mentally. So I started surrounding myself around that. I started literally being so happy in my own space that I used to tell God on my own walks, like, God, I do not want anybody unless it's my husband. Like, and
I showed up.
and literally, and talk about beliefs, because I could be saying that, but deep down inside, I would feel lonely. I would want a relationship. So my belief systems were saying otherwise, my feelings. But no, my feelings were very straight on, that I was even okay with being the third wheel to my best friend and her now fiance.
That's how I met you.
And that's how we met. And I was so happy to just, hey, what we doing today? Or if not, if they're going out, cool, I'll stay home watching my Netflix or whatever it was. But I was so happy in my own space that I made enough space to even meet my husband.
No, yeah. And again, you hit the nail on the head. You made the space, right? So for me, I was one of those people where I started doing that. So I went to a Tony Robbins event. And when my life was kind of feeling a little bit murky, I felt like, I needed to do
Florida event.
We'll talk about that another. That's a full episode. I think Florida. So my life was feeling a little bit wacky, and so I went to see the #1 life and business strategist, Tony Robbins, and he introduced me to all these different philosophies and methodologies, and it was like, wow, my life is gonna be different. I'm gonna change everything. And 2 weeks later, about 2-3 weeks later, I was in a motorcycle accident going 140 miles an hour. I broke 7 bones in 21 different places, almost lost my life. And my life literally crashed. I shattered. And at that point, I could have easily gone back to my old ways of thinking, but that would have just led to the same result. And so instead, I started looking within, like, what is this trying to teach me? Like, I already did the work. I'm already actively looking to create a life by my design, right? I'm tired of putting time and time into my relationship. At that point, I was 5 years into a relationship that wasn't serving me. I wasn't really growing financially the way that I wanted to grow. And it was like, I'm done playing that game. I want to take control. I want to do what I need to do in order to get the result that I want to get. And so, boom, I get into a motorcycle accident. But instead of going into that victim mentality, I was able to look back and say, wow, #1, this gives me a lot of time to work on myself, to meditate. I'm laying in a bed all day to really talk to God, talk to myself, and really connect on that level. That's one. #2, it literally shined a light on the people around me. I noticed how important my mom was, how much our relationship mattered, how much she's been there for me my entire life. Not that I didn't have a great relationship with my mom, but it really became a lot deeper than that for me at that point. I realized how much my intimate relationship wasn't, how she was finding ways to do other things when she could have been taking care of me. Again, I was in bed rest and I was in a hospital for 4 months. I know you would have, baby, but I needed to go through that in order to bring up and make the realization that I took my power back. Like, oh, wait, hold up. This relationship is not what it's meant to be. Look at how I want a woman like that. That's what I'm looking for, not a woman like this. And so if that wouldn't have happened to me, my energy would have been fragmented. It would have been focused on trying to fix her, trying to fix other people around me, trying to fix my even in business. I was able to focus and dial in and who am I? What value do I bring to the business? And once I came out of there, the #1 thing that I started doing was very similar to you, was focusing on my physical body. I realized that it didn't matter all the success that I had in the world financially if I didn't have a body to experience it. And so when I was able to focus on my body, on my physical being, part of that was connecting with my business partner, one of my best friends, and going to the gym at 5 a.m. He forced me. I don't know why, and now I do. It's because this beautiful woman was there, and I met you. And so at that point, I already had #1. I made that decision to start working on myself. I had all the power back. I had all that energy back to be able to put into a relationship that served me, because I wasn't boggled down by others. And so, again, I'm not hoping that when you start doing the inner work, you don't get into a motorcycle accident.
That's not what we want.
But things are going to start happening, right? Things are going to have to start falling off a place, because Albert Einstein says the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. So if we're living the same life, sometimes you could pick up your yesterday and place it tomorrow and nothing changes. Because if nothing changes, nothing changes. And so we live the same days over and over again in different shapes or form. We put on our socks the same way. We take the same path to work. We drive our kids to school the same exact way. We place our keys in the same cup holder every single time. And so we just expect things to magically happen. And again, in order for you to start creating a life by your design, you need to start being aware. You need to start being intentional. You need to start changing things up, and more importantly, being present.
And surrendering. I feel like also a big thing is when you feel like your world is crashing down, people might look at it as a negative because everything they ever known is disappearing. And us as humans, we love the certainty. So when we're stepping into the unknown, although the unknown, I've learned to believe and know now that it's a very beautiful place, because I believe that God gives us a blank canvas, and there we really get to create anything that we want. We are like, no, like this friendship is all that I know. Like, what about if I don't? And then we revert to the most extensive, like, dark side that we can, like, oh, what about if I don't find another friendship? When I left my relationship and I really made that decision to walk away, one of my fears was, hey, I have a daughter. Like, what about if I find another man and things don't go well and does something to my child? Like, I had those dark beliefs, and if I would have stemmed on that belief system, then I would have not acted, and I would have been in the same cycle 8 years later, and I would have not met you, who is an amazing father figure to my daughter and have 3 beautiful babies on top of that. I would have not had those experiences, but because I let go and let God, in a sense, I surrendered to the unknown. And even though if I felt that fear, if I felt like, wow, my world is crashing down, I just kept going and I just trusted. And I knew that things were going to be okay eventually, even if it wasn't tomorrow, but it was okay. And from there, I met new friends. I met my best friend, who is now our godson, our godmother to our godson, and is the most amazing.
You're the godmother to our son.
Sorry. The godmother to our son and is the most amazing godmother. I met you, which is the best thing that's ever happened to me. We've created such a beautiful family.
Guys, it's our 2-year anniversary today. Just want to share that.
Our 2-year anniversary today.
Wedding anniversary.
We're married, which before it was like I had lost faith even in that. I lost faith in having that happily ever after with the marriage. I had lost faith in even having more kids because I had a trauma from the experiences that I had, with my daughter. I had lost faith even in friendships because if we can talk about it, even to welcome in my best friend, it was hard for me. Like, we were very in denial. Like, you're not my best friend.
One day we were in the pool and I'm like, babe, you do know that Bjorn's your best friend, right?
We spend every day together. We do everything together.
She's like, no, she's not.
No, and that's not my best friend. You're not going to be the godmother to my child. Like, literally, we'll have arguments like that.
And we both got sisters that are going to be the godmothers. And I'm like, okay.
Stuff like that. Like, I was so in denial about those things. And look at the beauty that happened because I trusted in the path.
Wow. Like, when we talk about deep, that was as deep as it gets, right? So stepping into the unknown. Yes. I think that's our biggest fear.
Yeah.
Right? We're so stuck on a familiar past. We are habitual beings. So anything that we don't know scares us.
Yes.
We want to have control. And sometimes that's why you stay in that toxic relationship.
Yeah.
That's why you stay with that low-paying job. That's why you stay doing the things that you're used to, even though you know that it's not serving you.
Yeah.
That's why you don't quit the whatever vice you have. That's why you don't get to the gym, because, hey, I know that I want to lose this weight, but right now, the way that I eat, I know what I eat. I know how I'm gonna, I
know the feeling it gives me.
I know the feeling it gives me. And so it's like, I know what I want, but I'm not willing to step into that unknown. What is it gonna feel like before I get to the finish line, before I get to sunshine and rainbows? And so you have such a strong testimony. What does that sunshine and rainbows look like now after you went through that kind of, I don't want to say dark, because the unknown is not dark. It's ultimate creation. Life starts happening for you, not to you.
Yeah.
You start realizing the miracles in the world. When you let go of your familiar past and you step into the present moment wholeheartedly, full on, without any expectations, and just come out the grandest version of you, you start realizing the synchronicities in the world. You start noticing God in every single aspect of your life. And so once you start going through that process, it's all beauty. at the other side. And now, how are we? And I want to transition here. So that's creating unaware, right? And stepping into that unknown. But once you step into the unknown, you bring all your power back, and now you could be intentional about it. Now you can focus your energy on what you want. And so what has that looked like for you, creating your life on your terms, intentionally being conscious of what you want in your life and how you want to live it?
You ready?
I'm ready.
You.
Aww.
No, I feel like our relationship is such a powerful testimony in all of that. When I let go and I stepped in and I started creating intentionally, we've been able to get to so many different stages of our life that have been so beautiful. We've been able to create our beautiful children, our beautiful house, beautiful businesses, like just it's a wonderful life. Like, I know sometimes, let's say on Instagram, people, oh, it's for the gram. It's not for the gram. Like, it's not for the gram.
If anything, you guys don't know the half of it.
Yeah, literally. Like, it's just been such a beautiful life, such peace, such tranquility. I don't ever have to deal with the things that I used to deal with that level of toxicness, the arguing, the just feeling alone,
uncertainty,
and the uncertain, because even now when I step into an uncertain path, I have such a peace because I know that there's so much beauty that's going to come out of it. Like, I no longer focus on any negative aspects or any fear-based belief systems, because I feel like I no longer have those belief systems in me. Once I became aware, I literally took my power back, and it's been such a beautiful life. Like, ever
there's
since.
no going back. There's no going
Literally.
back. Once you start creating life intentionally, and for me, obviously, it was very similar. Once I noticed that by letting go and letting God and really stepping in and really focusing on what I could focus on, which was at that point, my physical body led me to this beautiful woman. And that beautiful woman led me, the first thing that she started doing was meal prepping for me. She started, no, literally, she started
3 weeks in.
like 3 weeks in, she
Okay.
started meal prepping for me. So now I started getting healthy. I started getting muscular. And I'm like, wow, not only by going to the gym, I started working on my body, but I was able to meet this beautiful woman. By meeting this beautiful woman, she's helping me be the best version of myself. You started shining a light on the most vulnerable parts of me in a good way, where you started allowing me to step into my full essence and really show up for myself fully. And you brought so much light to my world. And then that led to a lot of business success. And so I started having and designing business on my terms, and I started growing in my business, growing in character. And so that led me to create the confidence to lead a family. And so we started having our children. Matter of fact, we created our son. Hear this out. I created my son to a T. I told Justine a month before she got pregnant, exactly. I told her that was going to be her last period. I wrote
still
a
have
beautiful
the
poem.
poem,
I told her
yeah.
that was going to be her last period. Don't worry about it. I got his name. I got his date. I got his character down to a T. His personality, everything to a T. The day I said, babe, he's going to be born November 1st. And everybody was like, bro, you're bugging out. Like, you're doing a little bit too much. And I went ahead and I created from a place of, and again, I got to give credit to God. I got to give credit to the universe, whatever it is you believe in, because it was a coherent, a synchronized effort. But it took me to have all my energy and all my power in order for me to do that.
Yeah.
And so it was crazy because Jacob was born on November 1st, 2020, on the 25th hour of the only day of the entire year
That had an extra hour.
that had 25 hours. He was born at 11:20. And so that's how synchronized everything was. And that came from a place of power, and not a power of, I'm not saying this to toot my own horn. Again, it was just, I was very intentional with my actions. I was very intentional with my being, with how I showed up. There was action that we needed to take. There was surrender that we needed to do. But all of that I was capable of doing that because my energy wasn't fractured. I wasn't worried about the external world. I wasn't putting emphasis on what somebody else is doing, why my job is not the way it needs to be, why my relationship wasn't, I was so focused on the internal, on what actions I needed to take to live out and create the life that I wanted to live. And so to this day, we're still creating very much intentionally.
Yeah.
We choose to create our life. And, she mentioned our relationship. We choose to show up this way every single day. It's not by accident. I'm not on autopilot. We're not drifting. And that's what happens to most relationships. I believe that most people love each other. That's why you choose that partner. That's why you have kids and create with them. But you're not being intentional every single day.
Yeah.
But the first step to being intentional is bringing awareness into the creations that you are having. Number 2 is being able to step into that unknown and really be able to take life as it is and really surrender. And then lastly, you have to start visualizing, putting effort, putting intention behind your every action, your every move. And so by doing those and starting from a place of gratitude, you're able to start creating and designing your life. So, babe, is there anything that you want to share as we wrap up the power of creation with our fellow creators, our fellow conscious creators? What do you want to share with them as we kind of wrap up here?
So one word of advice is really sit with yourself and, start asking yourself questions that you normally wouldn't ask yourself. If there's something in your life that's going on that you're currently unhappy about, whether it's a job, whether it's a relationship, I encourage you to take your power back, to understand that everything starts with you. If you feel yourself in a victim mentality, get out of it. You're nowhere near starting to change your life as long as you stay in a victim mentality, as long as you put your focus on the outside exterior instead of within. Start working on yourself. Start really asking yourself those questions to become aware of the belief systems that you have within you that are allowing yourselves to live the life that you live today, and understand that you have the power to change it right now, literally right now.
Right now. Wow. So guys, you're one decision away. That's all it is. That's all I have for you guys. You're one decision away. Life is a snowball effect, but you need to be willing and able to make that decision. And I can't tell you what that is. That's different for everybody. But you're one decision away, and that's foreshadowing for one of our episodes. You're one decision away from completely changing the entire trajectory of your life, and stop being a passenger of your circumstances and start being a driver, a conscious creator of your own life. So guys, we love you. This is it was a pleasure speaking to you guys. We'll catch you guys in the next episode, where we're going to be going over the power of masculinity and femininity, and how finding balance, we can really create relationships, create long-lasting businesses, parenting, and how we can really bring our power of creation to the forefront by just having that law of duality in place. So we love you guys. We'll see you guys in the next episode.
Bye.
Stay up. The Cartagenas for ya.